Oral reports are then required to be followed up within 48 hours with a written report that is sent to the investigating agency.
Let's talk Cheslock.
The approved written form can be found at www.keepkidssafe.pa.gov.
Let's talk Cheslock.
Now regarding penalties.
That motherfucker took a break.
Hello, and welcome to another random episode of Let's Talk Cheslock.
Okay, we're not going to start by doing voices, are we, mate?
All right. So I did this podcast a while back. I haven't done it for a long time. I was really gassed up to do it, and I would call people and talk to them, and then life kind of got in the way, and I got kind of like overwhelmed, and I'm one of those people that is very outgoing, but has a very easily deplenished social battery, which is odd being an extrovert, but having a heavy introverted side.
That's right, Tony. Sometimes you don't want to talk to nobody. You want to be left alone.
Yeah, Augie, that's true. So that's Augie Santana, who some of you may remember from prior episodes. And I used to do a version of this show where it was just me driving around talking to myself, which is basically most of the day as I drive from one hamlet to the next in the wonderful city and villages and hamlets of Philadelphia, doing home care physical therapy for people after they get home from the hospital.
You're a people mover, ain't you, buddy?
It's a little bit more complicated than that, Augie, and you know that.
Because I live inside your brain and I watch everything you do.
That's right. And so I thought I'm going to do at least one episode where I'm just talking to myself, and if you're listening to this episode, I really appreciate you. And if you're not listening to this episode, I still appreciate you, whoever you are. There's actually a lot of you not listening to this episode.
That's kind of funny, ain't it? There's more people not listening than listening.
And don't we know it? Especially if you're inconsistent with producing the GD thing. So I work in home care. I'm a home care physical therapist. I do home care services. I work for a home care agency. Just a brief primer on some of the players. CMS, which is the Center for Medical Services, I believe, the federal entity that creates Medicare and Medicaid. And I recently got a email. So I create documentation on an iPad, on a computer program that I interact with. It's like a portal, and it's got a lot of codes in there for what people can and can't do, what we want them to be able to do in the future, codes for their diagnoses and what have you. But there's an interface that I go with, and there was, I don't know if anybody's going to understand this. I don't even know if I understand this, but I definitely didn't understand this email that I got from our numbers guy. I won't say his name, but let's just say he understands numbers and computers, and he's a little bit like interacting with a poorly trained artificial intelligence.
Damn, dude, that's rough. But you're not wrong. I've been in your room when you're talking to this guy. He's a very lovely gentleman.
Right. But he's a little bit like his language. I think he understands computer coded language better than he does people language. That's okay. Anyway, so I got this email saying that CMS rejected the Oasis, which to you now know that CMS is the government entity that pays for Medicare. What you don't know is Oasis is a designation of documentation. My God. Wow, I've probably lost. If there was 2 people listening to this episode, there's maybe one left. Like this motherfucker talking about Oasis, this and that. Oasis actually sounds kind of nice. Oasis sounds a little bit like a spa. Interestingly, when a patient dies, we have to create an Oasis that designates their death status, and you have to discharge the patient out of the the system and you discharge them to death, which is wild. It seems like I shouldn't have that kind of power. And the Oasis document you create is the Death Oasis, which also doesn't sound bad. That sounds kind of nice. Like a Death Oasis sounds like a nice place you go to when you die. Or maybe a place you get to hang out. Maybe that's what purgatory is like. It's like a Death Oasis. It's like a spa that you get to hang out at before they figure out whether you're going to heaven or hell. See, I was raised Catholic, so it's either heaven or hell for me, or purgatory. It's like Nowheresville, or you're in heaven, greatest place ever. Hell, although hell is, depends on who you are. Like, some people would think working out at a gym for an hour and a half or 2 hours, as I did this morning after I played soccer, would be hell. But to me, that's heaven. My knees feel differently.
I know, so do mine, because my knees are your knees, Tone.
Anyway, he goes, CMS rejected your Oasis, and then he put in like all this computer code language that was spit out by the system, and he said, can you please edit this and correct the mistake? And, oh God, I'm already losing the thread. But again, it was like I don't speak that language, Tim. Oh, I used his name. I don't use that language. I'm going to have to fix that in post.
Yeah, you're going to have to edit that shit out. Otherwise, you're probably going to get in trouble.
It was like he spat the king's English at me. And he's a lord. I'm just like a peasant. He's a lord. He speaks with the king. The king is CMS. The king is a federal government. The king has rejected our request. And here's the king's English to interpret what you're supposed to do. And it's like, I'm sorry, me lord. I don't speak the king's English.
Yeah, me lord, we don't speak the king's English. We only speak the language of the little people. We still scoop poop out of our own buttholes with our fingers. We don't have fancy toilet paper and water squirting bidets, me lord.
This whole thing that I was doing here, speaking to myself, the whole point was to get to that part where I was describing something that happened in my day that nobody's going to understand. And that is not relatable to anybody.
But you and me, Tom. But hey, you had an idea and you spoke to yourself and you recorded it, and what are you gonna do with it?
I might release this on my podcast because this feels like the right way to go with it for now. I do love talking to people on the phone, though. I'll get jazzed up to talk to people on the phone again. It's just that I talk to people on the phone all day, confirming patients, calling doctors' offices, and man, I did a lot of it today. But sometimes my favorite person to talk to is myself.
That's really nice. I'm glad you found somebody you like talking to.
Thanks, Augie. Anyway, that's the last episode. That's the next episode. That's been an episode of Let's Talk Cheslock. All right, y'all. Have a great day.